Minister of State, Zaqy Mohamad.
Mr. Chairman, earlier I spoke about how MOM uplifts the wages and skills of our low-income workers through a mutually reinforcing system of different support measures while maintaining a tight labour market. We also want to nurture an inclusive and caring society that will enable all workers to thrive and have meaningful opportunities at work. And I will touch on 4 areas. Firstly, supporting the integration of persons with special needs into the workforce, improving the well-being of low-income workers, safeguarding the well-being of foreign workers, and lastly, making conditions safer and healthier for all our workers. With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'll have the clerk to place a handout on member seats. We desire for a more inclusive society where persons with special needs are given opportunities to make meaningful contributions as part of the workforce. Mr. Patrick Day, Ms. Cheryl Chan, Mr. Chong Ki-hyong, Dr. Intan Mokhtar have asked about initiatives to integrate persons with special needs into the workforce and how successful they have been. Dr. Intan and Ms. Denise Pua also asked whether there could be more support for employers hiring persons with special needs such as wage support, recognition, or incentives to implement flexible work arrangements. Members would be pleased to know that the employers of Singaporeans with special needs receive the Special Employment Credit, or SEC, that provides wage offsets of up to 16% of the employee's monthly income, regardless of age. With the additional SEC or ASEC, employees of Singaporeans with special needs aged 67 and above receive wage offsets of up to 22% of the employee's monthly income. These rates are already 2 times the rates of the mainstream schemes. So the SEC and ASEC for Singaporeans with special needs will be extended for 1 more year until 2020 and be reviewed for the longer term, alongside the mainstream schemes as announced at the budget. On recognition for employers, SG Enable has been organizing the Enabling Employers Award, which is a nationally recognized award that honors and recognizes the efforts of employers in hiring and retaining employees with special needs. Since 2011, more than 100 employers have been recognized for the inclusive efforts and excellence. Ms. Chan asked about interventions to assist students with special needs to prepare for employment. Efforts include the School to Work Transition Program for special education school graduates to receive on-site job training from job coaches for up to a year, as well as internship and mentoring programs for students from institutes of higher learning. Under Workforce Singapore's Adapt and Grow initiative, there are services and programs to integrate persons with special needs into the workforce, namely the Open Door program and Career Trial. These programs cater to both the PMET and rank and file jobs. In the past 3 years, more than 1,600 persons with special needs have been placed through the Open Door program. I will now share about my visits to 2 companies that have benefited from the ODP. Administered by SG Enable, the ODP gives employers access to recruitment and job support services for persons with special needs. Grants for job redesign and training are also available to better support the integration. So referring to the first image on our handout, Sussex Private Limited is a global energy and commodities SME founded and managed by Ms. Chiang Shu-Fei. When I met Shu-Fei, she shared with me how, through ODP, she hired Mr. Owain Teo, who sustained spinal injuries after a motorbike accident as an operations executive. Shu-Fei tapped on ODP's job redesign grant, which supports 90% of job redesign costs of up to $20,000 per employee with special needs. And what she did was they made several thoughtful workplace modifications. So I saw that office partitions were removed to make it easier for Owain to move around with his crutches. The manual lock of the office door was also replaced with a digital lock, as Owain had difficulty bending down to open the door. So Owain told me that he is grateful for the job opportunity and what Sussex has done, and he shared that such an opportunity is very precious for those with special needs. And this motivates him to work harder and, to quote him, to excel just like or even do better than a person without special needs. Shu-Fei shared that she was very pleased with Owain's performance when he was just 3 months into the job. Hence, she entrusted Owain with more responsibilities, such as the power to make some commercial decisions involving shipping and cargo operations. She also gave him a pay rise after a year. So I'd like to commend Shu Fei for being an exemplary employer. She embraced the need to make changes at the workplace in order to support and bring out the best in her employee. She has also, by the way, hired a senior who is 62-year-old, in addition to persons with special needs. So there are just 3 of them in office. So in her own words, Shu Fei calls on fellow employers to give more opportunities to these hidden gems. So some of you may have also gone to this other company called Jayco Donuts and Coffee. I know some of you, I buy donuts from there too. So it's another company that's participated in ODP. So last year, Jayco hired Mr. Chia Tak Ming, who has mild intellectual disabilities, as a part-time baker assistant to decorate donuts. Tak Ming enjoys his job as his personal interest is painting. So as members can see in the second image, Tak Ming created the artwork for the tumbler that he is holding. So during my visit to Jayco, Tak Ming gave me a demonstration, and I was quite pleased to see his confidence and joy when he was decorating the donuts. However, this was not without initial challenges. His mentor said he had difficulty mastering the donut piping techniques and memorizing the various donut names. But to help him, what Jayco did was they broke down the job into smaller tasks and they gave him time to learn. So Tak Ming persevered and eventually succeeded with the guidance and encouragement of his mentor and job coach. It was, in fact, very heartwarming to hear from Jayco's HR manager, Ms. Jocelyn Wong, that, you can see her quote here, it has been a journey discovering Tak Ming's abilities, not disabilities. And I think that's really the spirit of it. It's really to discover his abilities and not disabilities. And that's what I hope more employers will take time to do. And that Tak Ming is adapting well and has been given more responsibilities to guide new employees like him. So we want more employers to be inclusive, like Sussex and Jayco. However, not all employers have had interactions with persons with special needs. And some employers may be unsure if a person with special needs can perform on the job. So co-workers may be also unsure on how to work with them. So these are real concerns affecting companies' decisions to hire persons with special needs. To address these, Career Trial provides opportunities for employers and persons with special needs to try out each other and make a better assessment of job fit. During the trial, which can be up to 3 months, job seekers can receive a training allowance from the government. And to encourage hiring and retention of persons with special needs, employers receive salary support after the trial, while persons with special needs who are hired and stay for at least 3 months receive retention incentives. So Ms. Denise Pua and Mr. Chong have also asked why hiring targets for persons with special needs have not been set for companies as well as public service. We have not done so for 3 reasons. First, it introduces labour market inflexibility and may invite competing calls for targets for other workforce segments such as older workers. Second, companies may offer menial or low-paying jobs to meet targets. Third, it may signal to companies that they only need to meet the targets when in fact they could have the capacity to take on more. So hence our goal is really to build a supportive system to get buy-in from employers to embrace and promote gainful and sustainable employment for persons with special needs. And I think creating a culture and an environment where companies willingly accept, adapt and redesign jobs for persons with special needs is much better than one that is forced on them, which could lead to tokenism instead. So in this respect, Mr. Tay and Dr. Intan asked if more can be done. MOM and SG Enable will be releasing a job redesign guide by the first half of this year. The guide will provide companies with information on how to apply job redesign to better integrate persons with special needs. For instance, common workplace modifications, changes to working arrangements, and the use of assistive technology devices. Ms. Denise Pau also asked the Ministry to consider looking at resourcing and supporting inclusive managers. Well, this is a new concept and something we will probably take back and have to study and consult with SG Enable at MOE. MOM and WSG, Workforce Singapore, will continue to work closely with MSF and SG Enable to scale up efforts to build employers' capabilities in hiring and managing persons with special needs under the third Enabling Master Plan. As Mr. Patrick Tay has raised, we will also continue to study the successes of overseas models to build a strong framework in Singapore. But to achieve a more inclusive society, we will need the private and people sector to partner us. While there are existing government-funded schemes to support hiring of persons with special needs, the awareness, unfortunately, may not be as high. So therefore, I urge fellow members to spread the word on our initiatives, such as the ODP, because we are happy to partner you. And certainly, if you are keen, let us know, and we can go to your constituencies for briefing sessions for those who are interested, including Yishun South. For once, I'm poking. So Mr. Patrick Tay and Ms. Chan also spoke about employment support for persons with mental health conditions or special education needs, such as dyslexia or ADHD. In addition to our efforts for persons with special needs, there are several initiatives to support the employment of those with mental health conditions. For example, the Job Club by MOH and the Institute of Mental Health assists job seekers with special employment needs while managing their mental health conditions. So Job Club helps persons with mental health conditions assess their strengths, acquire job-seeking skills, arrange for vocational training, and network with employers for job placements. In the past 3 financial years, the Job Club achieved an average job placement rate of 60%. For persons with special education needs, support is also provided in schools to help them transit into the workforce, as elaborated by Second Minister Indrani earlier. As a society, it is important to care for our workers' well-being, especially vulnerable workers such as our low-income workers. In addition to enhancing our lower-income workers' wages and employability, I agree with Mr. Zainal Sapari and Dr. Intan that care should be extended to their working conditions and how they are treated at work. Take, for example, access to proper rest areas, which Dr. Intan raised. Workers need safe and conducive environments for their rest breaks, such as their meals. Yet we have encountered cases of cleaners having to use makeshift rest areas at intervals and at stairwells and open public areas. Such situations can be improved, and going forward, MOM will look into companies' practices in giving workers access to proper rest areas. We will start with the cleaning sector. So I'm happy to share that the NEA has made available proper rest areas such as the cleaners' rooms in all of the 7 new hawker centres. As members can see in the third image, this is a place where cleaners can take breaks, have meals, and safekeeping for their belongings. I strongly encourage all service buyers and employers to do the same. Fellow Singaporeans, we need to do our part too, and treat our lower income workers with dignity and respect. And some of the simple and practical ways we can do it is to uplift them, including returning our own trays at the hawker centres, thanking them for their work, giving them time to rest during their breaks. And ultimately, society must view our local income workers also as people of worth, deserving of our respect. Mr. Zainal also asked MOM to review whether a scheme could provide financial or subsistence relief to help rank and file workers who are owed salaries due to company closure. The Employment Claims Tribunal, or ECT, can order employers to pay owed salaries to employees. If employers fail to do so because the company has closed down, employees can commence debt recovery by applying to the state courts for a writ of seizure and sale. MOM will assist low-income claimants through the WSS process, including providing financial aid. If low-income workers are unable to recover their claims via WSS, they can receive financial assistance from the Short-Term Relief Fund. And the Tripartite Alliance for Dispute Management, or TADM, will also refer to MSF and their social service officers for assistance on ComCare if needed. Similarly, the same way we protect our low-wage workers, we should also safeguard the well-being of our foreign workers. They share a common purpose in contributing to our society through building our homes and schools, working in our hospitals and factories, and keeping our environment clean. As we moderate the intake of foreign workers, treating them with respect can help us retain skilled and experienced workers, as some members have asked for. Ms. Ong suggested to extend MOM's regulatory reach to overseas employment agencies. She also asked if MOM can take a more resolute action against employers taking kickbacks from workers, whether transacted in Singapore or overseas. Within Singapore, MOM prohibits employment agencies in Singapore from charging workers beyond the stipulated fee cap. We actively enforce against errant agencies. However, we do not have the jurisdiction to act against agents taking kickbacks in other countries. This is not a matter that we have a choice over. This includes foreign employment agencies that tie up with local agents or the overseas operations of local employment agencies. Nonetheless, we will do what we can here. Since 2012, employers are prohibited from collecting kickbacks from foreign workers in consideration for employment. Employers who do so can be liable to a maximum fine of $30,000 or up to 2 years jail or both. So in 2018, 46 agencies and employers were taken to task for kickback-related offences. And Mr. Leon Pereira asked about whether we have a hotline. You can always call MOM hotline and we'll answer. And we received 102 calls last year, of which there were 49 calls that we followed up with and investigated. The rest were just inquiries and there was no follow-through required. So, but one thing I want to assure members is that let us know, we will investigate, and each of these cases we take on seriously if there's credible leads. So additionally, whenever our investigations reveal suspicious or irregular practices by overseas agents, information is shared with our foreign embassies to enlist their help to combat any malpractices in their respective countries. As Mr. Melvin Yong rightfully pointed out, we need to educate employers on their obligations to foreign workers. For example, MOM regularly updates the work pass obligations of employers in employers' copy of the in-principle approval letter. Employees are also kept informed of new and existing work pass requirements through direct mailers and on MOM's website. Ms. Ong and Mr. Melvin Yong suggested that we improve the employment system to retain skilled and experienced foreign workers. Given the constraints on the number of foreign workers we can bring in, we want to ensure that each worker we bring in counts and their skills and experience can be retained in Singapore. So this reinforces the capability, productivity and safety. For instance, more experienced construction workers were less likely to suffer work injuries. So MOM has supported the recruitment and retention of foreign workers in several ways. Traditional source and North Asian source work permit holders are not subject to maximum period of employment. Non-traditional source and PRC work permit holders, MOM has over the years extended the maximum period of employment to encourage companies to retain their trained and experienced workers to raise overall workforce productivity. In response to industry feedback, MOM has last increased the maximum period of employment by 4 years in all sectors in 2018. So the period of employment can now extend up to 26 years for skilled work permit holders in selected sectors. For foreign workers in the construction and process sectors, they can be transferred to another employer upon agreement of the existing employers or the expiry of their work permits. They are given about a month to look for new employers. We also allow all foreign workers to find another employer if they have valid claims. So while they are given 2 weeks to seek new employment, we have given short extensions on case-by-case basis. Mr. Yong hoped to see greater assistance for foreign workers involved in disputes with their employers. Majority of these foreign workers came from the construction sector, about 9 in 10. To improve their job facilitation outcomes, the Singapore Contractors Association Limited, or SCAL, has made available the Foreign Construction Worker Directory System that facilitates their search for new employers. So in 2018, about 34,000 workers in construction and process sectors were successfully transferred to another employer. So it's not a small number. They were able to use the system. Additionally, about 900 workers with valid claims successfully successfully found new employers and continued to work in Singapore after their claims were resolved. So I'd like to assure Mr. Melvin Yong that MOM will continue to work closely with the Labour Movement, Migrant Workers Centre and SCAL to improve job facilitation outcomes to foreign workers involved in disputes. So making workplace safer and healthier for all, every life is precious. As a society, we must therefore strive to make conditions safer and healthier for our workers. Singapore has made good progress in our workplace safety and health, or WISH performance. Our workplace fatality rate declined from 2.2 per 100,000 workers in 2010 to 1.2, or a record low of 41 fatal cases in 2018, last year. Mr. Ee Chia Seng asked about how our progress compares to other developed countries. Singapore's 3-year average fatality rate relative to OECD countries has improved from 18th place in 2010, and we are now 7th in 2018. Such progress was made possible by major shifts in wish culture, mindset, and practices enabled by strong tripartism. Take last year, for example. The Wish Council, comprising employer and union representatives, worked closely with trade associations and chambers to tackle the leading causes of workplace fatalities. So this included the Target Zero Falls campaign, where SCAL encouraged industry partners to conduct senior management walkabouts for work at height activities. For MARM, we continue to maintain a strong enforcement presence, especially in higher risk industries. But we must do better so that our workers can return home safe and healthy. Our goal is to further reduce and sustain our workplace fatality rate at below 1 by 2028. This is an ambitious goal, but an achievable one. Only 4 countries among the OECD countries have achieved it so far. 4. So we must also keep an eye on non-fatal injuries. Compared to 2017, we saw a 3% rise in numbers in 2018. 1 in 3 working residents have either diabetes, high blood pressure, or high cholesterol, which can affect safety as well if the condition is not managed well. We agree with Mr. Melvin Yong that a greater emphasis on workplace health is indeed necessary to address its potential impact to safety. I see 3 main ways to improve further. First, we need company management to be committed to improving WISH within their companies. Top management, including at the board level, is best placed to influence companies' workplace safety and health culture as they control its resources, policies, and practices. A good example is Lendlease, an international property and infrastructure company with operations here in Singapore. A board member chairs its sustainability committee that is responsible for setting the workplace safety and health policy and strategic directions for Lendlease. In addition, WISH performance is discussed at all board meetings, with the CEO and top management all held accountable. In the 4th image, members can see Lendlease's Paya Lebar Quarter project. And this is one example where the leadership has taken ownership to champion progressive WISH practices such as a near-miss reporting regime, WISH data analytics, as well as building information modeling techniques. With workplace safety and health as a top business priority, Lendlease's strong WISH track record has served as a competitive advantage in helping them to win repeat business. So they see workplace safety and health as a competitive advantage against competitors. Second, we need greater emphasis on workplace health. To address the potential impact of poorly managed health on workplace safety, the Workplace Safety and Health Council partnered HPB, Health Promotion Board, to introduce Total WISH. Total WISH involves injury and occupational disease prevention, together with occupational health promotion, through health screening, physical activities, healthier diet initiatives, and adjustments in work processes so that those with chronic conditions can continue to work safely. We agree with Mr. Melvin Yong that more can be done, and we encourage the labour movement to partner us to encourage more companies to adopt Total WISH. Third, WISH is another aspect where we can win with technology. Companies can leverage on technology advancements such as sensors, predictive analytics, and Internet of Things to effectively manage WISH risks. Mr. Ee Chia Sing asked for examples. Woodlands Transport and SI Engineering Company have taken part in MOM's WISH Tech Challenge to test bed a fatigue detection and management device among their drivers. As members can see in the 5th image, this device uses sensors and image processing technology to track the micro movements of a driver's head, eyes, and facial expressions to detect fatigue. Those who show signs of fatigue will be alerted by an alarm from a buzzer and seat vibration. 93% fewer fatigue episodes were detected among drivers whose vehicles were equipped with the device when compared to the baseline. Mr. Chairman, I can see some applications of this in Parliament, as we have fatigue members on long sittings. Mr. Melvin Yong also spoke about leveraging technology to make WISH training more productive and realistic, and I agree. I recently tried virtual reality training that simulates working at height. As members can see in the 6th image, I experienced a virtual fall from a height of 14 stories. I can tell it's quite realistic. I had to stay on the ledge and then fall off. All right. This ingrained the importance of following safety procedures as they could make a difference between life and death. Mr. Melvin Yong suggested forming a national training academy that consolidates training resources and ensures high, consistent workplace safety and health standards. So the Skills Future Singapore has set a consistent standard for WSQ training providers in terms of curriculum and training methods. But we will consider how to improve training further, and we will study this further with our tripartite partners. Mr. Melvin Young also had another suggestion to have tiered insurance premium framework for work injury compensation, where companies with poor wish records will have to pay higher premiums. We agree, and we are looking at ways to facilitate this. Mr. Ee Chia Seng shared businesses' concern that MAM would introduce safety requirements after every fatal accident. He used the example of 3 workers having to change a light bulb to highlight the need to balance requirements. I initially thought this was a riddle, but some of you may know how many people it takes to screw a light bulb. But then the light flashed, and I got my own light bulb flash, and certainly I got a certain insight. Because what this also meant was that if you look at the other end of the scale, Mr. Melvin Young also asked to introduce more wish requirements for better worker protection. So you have this balance that you have to manage between protecting workers and what businesses now consider, hey, it's too much requirements, too much compliance. So the contrasting view by both members showed the tension between having more regulations that could be overly prescriptive versus being too lax such that wish is compromised. This is where we have adopted a balanced approach under wish is outcome-based regime. Companies, individuals are responsible for taking reasonably practical measures to ensure worker safety and health. And this gives stakeholders the flexibility to adopt cost-effective wish measures. So let me clarify the misconception in Mr. Yee's light bulb example. There is no need for a worker to hold a ladder if it's securely fixed and stable, such as a platform ladder with guardrails. Right? But if it's really high, then I suggest you have someone hold it, because I think, as Speaker earlier mentioned, it is also a safety thing which we need to manage. There is also no need for the supervisor to be present all the time if the workers have been informed earlier on safety measures. So you just have to brief the worker and you can move on, right? These are all the measures you take. Therefore, with the right equipment, the ladder is not costly, and the right measures, only one worker is needed to change a light bulb, unless it is a very high ceiling that you have to put, right? So being safe need not hamper productivity. We welcome employers who need advice to consult MAM and the WISH Council. So really, with the right equipment, actually, you don't need so much compliance. Rather than mandating all workplaces to have a WISH representative, as Mr. Yong suggested, our philosophy is to bring about WISH gains without adding rules willy-nilly. Better results can often be achieved through strengthening WISH ownership within company management, and uncommitted companies may hire a trained WISH representative to meet the letter of the law, but not follow through in the internal systems to support the WISH representative in identifying and preventing hazards. Only with ownership would companies be self-motivated to adopt WISH practices without us prescribing more requirements. Mr. Chairman, allow me to recap the enhancements in the Workfare Income Supplement in Malay. Untuk memastikan pekerja yang berpendapatan rendah dapat maju bersama golongan pekerja lain, kami meningkatkan taraf kehidupan mereka melalui skim tambahan pendapatan ataupun workfare yang menokok gaji mereka dan menolong mereka menabung untuk persaraan. Lebih ramai pekerja Singapura akan mendapat manfaat daripada workfare mulai Januari 2020 apabila kami menaikkan had pendapatan kelayakan workfare dari 2,000 ke 2,300 sebulan dan meningkatkan bayaran tahunan maksima sehingga $400. Hampir 440,000 warga Singapura, termasuk mereka yang bekerja sendiri, akan menerima faedah menerusi peningkatan ini. Kebanyakan penerima workfare juga menerima sokongan pemerintah yang lain untuk membantu menampung keperluan sara hidup mereka. Dan seperti Encik Gunasagaran misalnya, seorang penyelia pembersihan berusia 49 tahun, beliau tinggal di flat 3 bilik bersama isteri dan 3 anaknya. Selain workfare, beliau juga mendapat voucher GST dan rebate USAVE untuk membantu mengimbangi pembelanjaan keluarganya. 2 anak perempuannya menerima bantuan kewangan daripada Kementerian Pendidikan. mereka mendapat buku teks dan uniform percuma dan kredit untuk pengangkutan awam. Anak bongsunya di tadika menerima skim bantuan yuran tadika ataupun kifas dan Encik Guna hanya memerlu membayar sekira-kira $1 sebulan. Pendekatan kami melalui sokongan pelbagai lapisan lebih responsif pada keperluan rencam rakyat Singapura. Marilah kita kukuhkan lagi usaha-usaha yang telah berjaya ini dan terus gigih untuk meningkatkan kehidupan pekerja Singapura. In conclusion, Mr. Chairman, the government is committed to fostering an inclusive and caring society. To this end, we will continue to integrate persons with special needs into the workforce, improve the well-being of lower-income workers, safeguard the well-being of foreign workers, and make work conditions safer and healthier for all workers. Thank you.